Elon Musk warns, 7 days left to avoid your biggest mistake. I want to share something crucial with you today, something I see people getting wrong every single day. It's a mistake that could cost you years of happiness and peace, and you have just 7 days to make sure you don't fall into this trap. Before I dive in, drop a comment below telling me which state you're listening from, because what I'm about to reveal is something I wish I had grasped much earlier in life. It's a lesson that could save you from the deep regret that haunts so many as they grow older. Here's the mistake, and why you need to act fast. The biggest error I witness, especially among those in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, is waiting too long to say what needs to be said. Waiting too long to mend relationships that still can be healed. Waiting too long to make peace with the people you love. You might believe there's plenty of time. You might think tough conversations can wait until tomorrow, next week, or even next year. You might assume broken bonds will somehow fix themselves if you just give them enough time. But here's the hard truth I've learned from watching people face loss and regret: time doesn't always heal. Sometimes, it only makes things harder to repair. Sometimes, the person you've been waiting to talk to isn't there anymore when you finally decide to reach out. Why 7 days? This isn't a random number. It's based on a pattern I've noticed about how people handle important relationships. Most folks spend about a week debating whether to reach out before they either act or push it off indefinitely. If you take action within 7 days of thinking about it, you're much more likely to follow through. Wait longer, and excuses creep in, excuses that stretch into months, years, or even decades. Let me be clear about the mistake you must avoid: letting pride, fear, or stubbornness stop you from connecting with those who matter most. Maybe it's a child you haven't spoken to in years because of a fight that now feels trivial. Maybe it's a sibling you've drifted apart from over old wounds. Maybe it's a friend you lost touch with because life got busy and neither of you made the effort. Maybe it's someone you hurt, or someone who hurt you, and the pain has built a wall between you. Maybe it's someone you love but have never told. Maybe it's someone you're grateful for but never properly thanked. Maybe it's someone you miss but have been too proud to reach out to. The mistake is thinking these things will fix themselves. The mistake is waiting for the other person to make the first move. The mistake is assuming you'll have unlimited time to make things right. But time isn't unlimited. People age, get sick, move away, or pass on. When they're gone, the conversations you planned become impossible. I've met too many people weighed down by regret, relationships never repaired, words never spoken, love never expressed, forgiveness never given or asked for. These regrets don't fade, they grow heavier. The good news? This mistake is completely avoidable. You can prevent it by acting within the next 7 days. Decide to reach out, speak up, make the call, write the letter, have the conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect or fix everything immediately. It just has to be a start, an attempt to bridge the gap with someone who matters. Here's why this matters more as you get older. When you're young, you think time is endless. You believe disagreements can wait, love can be postponed, and opportunities to connect will always be there. But as you age, you realize time is precious. You see friends and family facing health challenges. You lose people you thought would be around forever. You understand that pride, being right, or avoiding tough talks aren't as important as maintaining connection. Sometimes, this realization comes too late, only after the chance to repair is gone. That's the mistake I want you to avoid. I want you to understand this now, while you still have time. So, what does taking action look like? If there's someone you've been thinking about but haven't contacted in a while, pick up the phone and call. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect moment or perfect words. Just call. You don't need a deep conversation if that feels too hard. You can simply say, "I've been thinking about you and wanted to hear your voice," or ask how they're doing, or share something good happening in your life. If there's someone you've had a disagreement with, reach out. You don't have to admit fault if you don't believe you're wrong. You don't have to apologize insincerely. But you can acknowledge that you missed the relationship and that the disagreement isn't worth losing the connection. If there's someone you love but haven't told recently, say it. It can be simple: "I love you. You're important to me." If there's someone you need to thank, thank them. Be specific about what they did and how it affected you. If there's someone you need to forgive, consider offering that forgiveness, not because they necessarily deserve it, but because holding on to anger only hurts you. The key is to act now, without waiting for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you feel ready or have the perfect words. Don't wait until you're sure the other person will respond well. Act while the desire to connect is fresh and the opportunity still exists. Here's what I've learned: the people with the fewest regrets are those who choose connection over pride, love over being right, peace over winning arguments. They reach out when it's hard, apologize when it's difficult, forgive when it's undeserved, and express love when it feels vulnerable. Their relationships aren't perfect. They still face conflict and loss. But they don't carry the heavy burden of "what if." They don't spend their later years regretting words unsaid or relationships left broken. Let me share a story about someone who almost made this mistake but caught herself just in time. Her name is Margaret, 68 years old. 5 years ago, she and her sister Karen had a falling out over how to care for their aging mother. The disagreement spiraled into old resentments and harsh words. They stopped speaking. Margaret felt hurt and angry, convinced Karen should make the first move to repair things. Years passed. Margaret thought about calling, especially during holidays, but pride held her back. Then, last month, she got a call from Karen's daughter. Karen had been diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Margaret realized how close she'd come to losing her sister forever. She called Karen that same day. The conversation was awkward and emotional, but Margaret focused on what mattered most. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "I don't want our mother's passing to destroy our relationship. I want to spend whatever time we have left in peace." Karen cried and said she'd been thinking the same but didn't know how to reach out. They didn't fix everything in one call, but they agreed their relationship was more important than their disagreements. Now, Margaret talks to Karen regularly and helps her prepare memory books for the family. Margaret's story shows how close we can come to making this mistake, and how important it is to act before it's too late. So here's what I want you to do right now. Think about the relationships in your life that need attention. People you miss, love, need to forgive, or ask forgiveness from. Write down their names. Don't overthink it. Now pick one person, the one who feels most important to you right now. Commit to reaching out to them within the next 7 days. Not next month, not when you feel ready, but within 7 days. It doesn't have to be a phone call if that feels intimidating. A text, email, letter, anything that says, "I've been thinking about you and I care." This 7-day window isn't meant to stress you. It's meant to stop endless postponement and help you act while your intention is clear. Because if you don't act within 7 days, you'll start finding reasons to wait longer. You'll overthink what to say, imagine negative responses, convince yourself it's better to leave things as they are. Weeks turn into months, months into years, and the person you want to reach may no longer be able to respond. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to carry the regret of relationships left broken, love unspoken, conversations never had. You have the power to avoid this mistake. You have the chance to choose connection over pride, love over fear, action over hesitation. But that chance has a time limit. Not because of outside forces, but because of how human nature works. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to act. 7 days, that's your window. What will you do with it? Who will you reach out to? What conversation will you finally have? The choice is yours. But choose quickly. In 7 days, you'll either be someone who took action to strengthen a relationship or someone who let another opportunity slip away. The people with the fewest regrets are those who choose courage over fear, connection over pride, love over hesitation. Which person will you be? Let me paint 2 pictures for you. First, meet Sarah. She's 74 and lives with constant regret. She hasn't spoken to her son in 3 years after a fight. She thinks about calling every day but always finds a reason not to. She's estranged from her sister and lost touch with friends. At night, she lies awake haunted by all the conversations she never had. Sarah feels powerless, trapped by fear and pride. Now meet Ruth, 71. She faced similar challenges but chose differently. After a painful falling out with her daughter, she reached out after 6 months. The conversations were hard, but they repaired their bond. Ruth wrote a letter to her estranged brother, which led to renewed connection. She makes it a habit to reach out, express gratitude, and forgive. Ruth sleeps peacefully, knowing she's done all she can to nurture her relationships. The difference? Ruth took responsibility for her happiness and connections. She chose vulnerability over loneliness, action over regret. Both women love their families, but only Ruth actively works to create the relationships she wants. Which woman do you want to be? Do you want to lie awake with regret or sleep peacefully knowing you acted? Do you want to feel trapped or empowered? Do you want to wait for others or take the initiative? The choice is yours, and you have 7 days to decide. Share this message with someone who might be making the same mistake. Someone whose relationships need attention but who keeps waiting. Subscribe if you believe relationships matter more than being right, and that the time to repair connections is always now, not later. So, who will you contact in the next 7 days to strengthen a relationship that matters? Most people think time softens wounds. They think distance will make hard conversations easier. But I've learned something different. Time doesn't always heal. Sometimes time hardens hearts, deepens silence, and builds walls too high to climb. And when the person you've been meaning to reach out to is gone, the words you never said will never leave your lips. Now, here's why I said 7 days. In my observations, when someone feels the urge to reconnect, they give themselves about a week to decide. If they act within that week, they usually follow through. But if they wait longer than 7 days, the excuses start. I'll do it tomorrow. Now's not the right time. And those excuses don't end, they grow into months, years, and eventually decades. The mistake is letting pride, fear, or stubbornness steal precious connections from you. Maybe it's your daughter you haven't spoken to since that fight. Maybe it's your brother you've drifted away from because of misunderstandings. Maybe it's an old friend who still means something to you, but you've been too busy, or too proud, to reach out. Maybe it's someone you love deeply but haven't told in years. The mistake is thinking relationships will magically repair themselves. The mistake is waiting for them to make the first move. The mistake is assuming you'll always have more time. But time is not unlimited. People get sick. People move away. People die. And once they're gone, so is your chance to reconnect. I've seen too many people burdened by words left unsaid. Love never expressed. Forgiveness never offered. Gratitude never spoken. That regret doesn't fade, it grows heavier year after year. But the good news is, you don't have to carry it. You can avoid it by taking action within the next 7 days. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need the perfect words or the perfect moment. You just need to start. Call them. Text them. Write the letter. Knock on their door. Do something, anything, to show that connection still matters to you. Because here's the truth, when you're young, you believe time is endless. You think disagreements can wait. You believe people will always be there. But as you get older, you start to see how quickly things can change. Friends get sick. Family members disappear too soon. And suddenly, being right doesn't matter. Pride doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is connection. But some people realize this too late. They wake up one day and find the chance is gone forever. I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to wake up now, while you still have time to act. Let me share a story. Margaret, 68, had a fight with her sister, Karen, years ago. They stopped speaking. Both were stubborn. Both waited for the other to call. 5 years passed in silence. Then Margaret got a call from her niece. Karen had been diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. Suddenly, Margaret realized how close she was to losing her sister forever. That same day, she picked up the phone. The call was shaky and emotional, but she made the choice to put love above pride. They didn't fix everything overnight, but they started talking again. Now, they speak several times a week. Margaret told me later, I almost made the worst mistake of my life. I almost waited too long. This is what the 7-day rule is about. Acting while you still can. Acting before time and circumstances steal the choice away from you. So here's what I want you to do right now. Think of the person who came to mind while you've been listening. The one whose absence hurts. The one you've been meaning to call. The one you love, miss, or need to forgive. Write their name down. Don't overthink it. Just write it. Now commit to reaching out within the next 7 days. Not next month. Not when you feel ready. 7 days. A call, a text, an email, even a letter. Just something to break the silence. Because here's what happens if you wait longer. Your brain will talk you out of it. You'll start thinking of reasons to delay. You'll replay old arguments. You'll convince yourself it's better to leave things as they are. And before you know it, years will have passed and the chance will be gone. The people with the least regret are the ones who choose connection over pride, who choose action over hesitation, who choose love over fear. They're not perfect people. They don't have perfect relationships. But they sleep peacefully at night because they know they tried. The people with the most regret are the ones who keep waiting, who let silence stretch on, who cling to pride, who assume there will always be more time. They lie awake wondering what if. So the choice is yours. Are you going to be like Sarah, who waited and carried regret, or like Ruth, who reached out and rebuilt what mattered? You have 7 days. That's it. 7 days to decide whether you'll carry regret for the rest of your life, or whether you'll act while you still can. Share this with someone who needs the same reminder. Subscribe if you believe connection matters more than pride. And tell me in the comments, who are you going to reach out to in the next 7 days? Because 7 days from now, you'll either be one step closer to healing, or one step closer to regret. The choice is yours.